Office won't be putting in any other game modes in the near future. That said, there are a huge number of mods already appearing right now in the beta and that have been in the beta for a while. Things like a mode called Combat, where there's no commanders, and it's kind of like gun game in Counter-Strike, where you sort of earn the bits and bobs, the life forms, the weapons, depending on how many kills you've got. There's other game modes called Siege, which is kind of a simplified base versus base mode. So there's various other modes that are going to come from the community, but the actual core of the game is NS, and it is not a simple capture the flag game. As you can see, it's a rich game, and we won't be putting out any other official game modes, at least not for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, so it's kind of really sticking to this kind of really deep game that you've kind of built on here. So, but as you said, there will be kind of, the modding communities will create other versions, using, the tools that are given to them.
And they already have, for sure.
Yeah, so that's kind of, actually quite a good point in my book. I thought I'd ask the question just in case people are interested, but that's actually, there is a lot of games that do just kind of flow around these general ideas, but personally I do like the kind of the more built-on experience. It's sometimes even rare to see developers just stick to one idea. They want to try and cover as many bases as possible, try and please as many people as possible, and I feel sometimes that maybe hinders them a little bit because they never get to perfect one thing. But it looks like here, this is kind of living proof in itself, in a way that if you stick to one principle, if you stick to one idea and really refine it, really work it out here. I'm actually just watching one of the IKEA folk just kind of scream back to base as he's getting attacked. It was actually, I think it was Skuggan that I just saw. He just kind of made his way really fast back to base.
Yeah, that's a fade. It's a creature that can blink in and out of existence to travel around the map very quickly and is very, very powerful. And believe me, Exodus is not enjoying the fact that these fades are on the field. But then again, they've got jetpacks, so they're not in a terrible position.
Yeah, I got to actually have some time with the jetpacks. That is a great feature. Loving that. I love me a good jetpack. But yeah, just kind of going back to what I was saying, just to finish it off. Yeah, it's just certainly, seeing this built as it is, and it's the living proof that pushing an idea and really pushing it through to completion and making it that solid, deep experience that it is, just kind of, it proves that it can make a great game as well. You don't need to be a jack of all trades, a master of one. It's definitely, a good way to be going in this industry.
Thank you.
So yeah, so I'm just seeing now, just noticing a little gameplay. They're still holding this kind of central point. They've got their phase gate kind of still off to the side, but I am seeing quite a lot of growth from IKEA and things in terms of actually on the opposite side of the map. So they've gone for this opposites again. They're actually on the different sides there, which is quite interesting. And then it's this really central point. So this central point here that they seem to all be fighting over, is this just because this is where they are, or is there something here that they're both trying to get and capture?
Again, it's a combination. The aliens are definitely attacking this with extreme fervor because of the fact that there's 2 resource points in here, which means this is giving the Marines a lot of resources which they can use to buy things like the jetpacks you see flying around. The aliens don't like having to deal with those. And it's also that phase gate in the corner, which gives these Marines the ability to access this area quickly and push out across the rest of the map. It's a lot easier to push on the rest of the map if you've got this central point than if, say, you didn't have that and you were trying to fight from your main base. So that's why these Marines are constantly trying to defend this. The aliens are constantly trying to take it down. And really, if the aliens take this area down, I'd say there's a very, very strong chance that the Marines will lose the game. And you can see they're deploying flamethrowers right now. The flamethrowers, they're great for eliminating the energy from the aliens. So they have to run away. The fades, you can see they're not blinking as much anymore because they were on fire. So that's where the flamethrowers are great. But, yeah, that's why they're fighting over this central point. The aliens want to shut this asset down. And it is a big asset to the Marines right now.
Yeah, so there's definitely that kind of the strongest tactics are to go for those rooms. So that, in other games you've got, say, it'll cost you this much to get out this kind of troop, and it'll take this long to build it. So you have to sort of decide, well, that's going to take me 3 minutes to build that. So should I go for a lot of cheap things, or should I go for this one really expensive thing? So here it's kind of about it's the same kind of strategy of, well, if we build and we can grab these kind of really good assets where we can get 2 extractors just for one point of defense, and really push those, we can start to get the more expensive things. But is there a way to do it where you kind of, if you say dominated, a few little extractors around the map, and then say Exodus, as they have got this central room, but IKEA have got 3 or 4 still posted around. Is there a way to build that kind of fast, attacking way to actually, just grind them down eventually? There'd be a point where Exodus must have to become, they'll get less health, they'll have to, drop back to try and health up, and then, obviously restock their ammunition and things as well, and they will eventually start running out of resources. Is there a way just to kind of keep at it and drain from doing that, or is it about putting those, getting your aliens all together, putting that big charge on and making just big pushes all the time, or is sending in one guy and just really kind of relentlessly attacking non-stop?
This is certainly not the way you have to play, and there are choices available to IKEA right now. It's a very deep strategic game, and they could do a lot of different things. Now, the reason that they're probably wanting to maintain the pressure here on the center is because if they do sort of go out all over the rest of the map, as Scrame actually is doing in the northwest corner, if they do sort of all spread out and attack lots of different points at once, yes, they'll do a lot of damage, but the moment the Marines are not under pressure here in Nanogrid status, they will all attack. Now, these guys have flamethrowers, grenade launchers, jetpacks, heavy armor, heavy weapons. They've got welding tools, they've got phase gates, they've got shotguns, they've got mines, they've got a lot of gear. And if the aliens let them roam around on the map, as they will do if the pressure is taken off, then they'll very quickly find 5 Marines inside their hive doing damage so fast that that hive will just drop. So that's, I think, the calculation IKEA is making in their mind right now. It's certainly not the only thing they have to do. And you can see they actually are splitting up a bit. They're using a couple of fades to attack Nanogrid, a couple of fades to attack Command. And eventually, I mean, if they save up, they've actually spent most of their resources. But if they did save up, they would be able to plug out an Onos on the field.
Right, okay. And so the Onos, is that the kind of, in the trailers, the big... The big monster that's kind of, a bit, it takes the mechs that I believe you've recently introduced to take them down. So it's
they are
really
very
kind of,
big.
Yeah.
They are the sort of gorilla rhinoceros giant thing that you do see in a lot of our trailers. It definitely doesn't take the mech to bring them down there. This isn't a game of hard counters. It's not a case of, oh, they've got Oni, we need to have an exosuit to deal with it. An exosuit is good against an Onos, but an Onos is good against an exosuit. It's definitely a case of teamwork is required to bring one of those giants down. You need to get a lot of firepower onto that thing very fast if you want to take it down. So the Onos, I don't think we'll see one in this game. This is actually turning into quite a long game. We're at the 22-minute mark. We might see one out of Ryan. You can see on the top, on the right side of the screen, he's got 57 individual resources right now, and he needs 75. So it'll be interesting to see whether he chooses to go Onos in this game, and he very well might do.
All right, brilliant. So, they kind of, although you could use one to battle the other, that would be kind of a 50-50 fight depending on the skill of the player. However, if a good team of Marines came up against an Onos, they could easily just concentrate fire, and well, I say easily, if they concentrate fire, coordinate well, and avoid, getting dwindled down or kind of separated and stick together as a strong team, you can definitely take it down without having the need to boost yourself up to that kind of point.
Yes, and actually what's very exciting right now, Stephen, is the fact that the Marines are researching dual miniguns. What that means is they're researching exosuits that can walk in with 2 miniguns, and that is just devastating. And I haven't seen a lot of exosuits in competitive play, so this is very, very cool, and I'm getting more and more excited the more I watch this match, because if we saw exosuits in here, I think it would be off-the-chain crazy, and it's quite possible the Marines do have a prototype lab where they are researching this, and they do have one Marine, who is actually called Marine, who has 50 resources and might be able to make it to the 75 required to get that dual minigun exosuit.
Oh, that would be something swell. Ever since the announcement trailer, I've been kind of wanting to get my hands on one of those, but it takes quite a lot to get to it, because obviously they're such quite the kind of the big units. You don't want to be just throwing those out in every game. That's kind of something you've got to really earn it.
But it looks like actually they've lost nanogrid status in the middle of the map. That's a huge blow to them. So we might not see the exosuits, but we might. They still have 2 bases. They still have 4 extractors, even if those 2 are destroyed. It's not in a terrible position. I think we might still see those exosuits, Stephen. Oh, we have one. We have one. Look at Command. He's up and he's walking around. We have an exosuit on the field.
We have an exosuit, so we can. So now, how big is this in terms of impact of the game then? are IKEA now going to be thinking, right, we need upon